This is Jeremy Sports Network coming to you live. Hey, you guys, we get an opportunity to now redo our picks. I'm pretty sure everybody had broke, busted, and disgusted brackets. You had a lot of big teams that went down on this past weekend as well, going into the Sweet 16. You had your Dukes losing, you had Villanova, Louisville. Hey, you had some big upsets. You almost had Kentucky losing to Wichita State. So it's a good thing we get an opportunity to have a second chance from Sweet 16 to Final Four. And I'm going to start with my picks, starting on the east side with that Wisconsin versus Florida matchup. And that Wisconsin versus Florida, Wisconsin to me, having that big matchup game against Villanova, in a way that they beat Villanova, it was a tough ball game. But Wisconsin pulled it out, and they look really good. They have a very big win, riding with a lot of momentum heading into this game with Florida. But Florida is a good team as well. You can't sleep on Florida. You can't. But I'm going to pick Wisconsin because I believe Wisconsin is more proven, given the fact that they have a really big win on their resume in the tournament already. And that's why I'm going to pick them to win this game. And as you can see here, Florida's a team that can get off and score a lot of points. And I'm talking about they're averaging 78.3 points per game. And you have Wisconsin averaging 71.9 points per game. But I don't believe that's going to be the problem into this game. It's going to be defense because Wisconsin gives up 61 points per game and Florida gives up 66.6 points per game defensively. Wisconsin is 3-4 against the top 25 with a big win in Villanova in the tournament, while Florida's just 1-4. I'm picking Wisconsin to win this game because they've been showing it all year. They've been proving all year long that, hey, they can make some noise in this tournament. And by far, they're doing that. Our next matchup is Baylor versus South Carolina. South Carolina with a big win, knocking off Duke. And they did it in stunning fashion. The second half of that ball game, Carolina controlled the second half of that ball game. And right here, they're going up against a really good Baylor team. A Baylor team that's perhaps better than in Duke in a lot of people's eyes. This Baylor team right here, a lot of people have them better than Duke, considered being the fact that they are a number 3 seed. But South Carolina done did it before. They beat Duke. And Duke, a lot of people had Duke going to the Final Four. Me, I had Duke going to the Final Four. But South Carolina made those plans a little bit different for me and for Duke as well. But they're going up against Baylor. And for South Carolina, given the fact that they did knock off Duke, to me, I think that would have been this is their only win is against that Duke squad. And I don't feel as though they're going to carry that momentum over into playing a team like Baylor. Even though they're both pretty much kind of evenly matched as far as points per game and opponents' points per game. But I'm going to give the edge to Baylor to knock off South Carolina. And Baylor will be facing Wisconsin in the Elite Eight. We going down to the West. Gonzaga versus West Virginia. To me, Gonzaga is really good. Like, I watched Gonzaga a few times this year and seeing them play right now in the tournament, Gonzaga is really, really good. I believe Gonzaga can make it to the Final Four. And with this, going up against West Virginia, they're a team that can score points as well. But I believe Gonzaga possesses the edge defensively, and they will be able to hold West Virginia defensively to put themselves in a better position in order to win the game later in the stretch. And I have Gonzaga defeating West Virginia and Gonzaga moving forward into the Elite Eight, taking on the winner of Xavier versus Arizona. Xavier versus Arizona, this is going to be a good one. Reason why I say that is because Arizona is a really, really good basketball team, but Xavier can I'll say they don't have the same talent as Arizona, but Xavier can play up to Arizona's level and make it a very, very good competitive basketball game because Xavier does have the players that can make that happen. But do I believe they're going to beat Arizona? Absolutely not. I believe Arizona is too good right now. They're clicking on all cylinders, and I have Arizona advancing against Gonzaga in the West. And we're going to move over to the South, and we're going to start with North Carolina taking on Butler. North Carolina versus Butler. North Carolina had a tremendous run at the end of their ball game so that they can be able to make it to the Sweet 16. Now, do I believe North Carolina has what it takes to defeat a Butler squad? Absolutely. But I believe Butler will compete and make this a, a rough basketball game between North Carolina. But I believe North Carolina have the players and with that rest that they need. I know the point guard hurt his ankle, so with him getting that rest that he needs on that ankle, he could come back at least a good 90 to 95% and help put North Carolina in the Elite Eight against the winner of the next two teams we're going to talk about. But I do have North Carolina defeating Butler and North Carolina advancing, taking on either UCLA versus Kentucky. This, my friends, is the matchup of the Sweet 16. You have two powerhouse squads. You have Lonzo Ball, who arguably right now has pretty much the spotlight on him. His father has increased the spotlight on Lonzo right now in the tournament. And I'm expecting for Lonzo Ball to play well against Kentucky. Um, I really like this kid. I really do. I really hate the fact that his dad put a lot of pressure on him and he says a lot of things that he should not say as far as Lonzo being, better than Steph Curry and a lot of guys that's already in the league. I really feel like he should not have said that because Lonzo Ball is going to be his own type of player. And this right here is a big moment for him with a lot of pressure on him. But I do think he's going to perform well. But I believe Kentucky has UCLA's number on this one. Kentucky, right now, those guys are clicking on all cylinders. A point guard is looking phenomenal. They big men are balling. But at the same time, you're going up against a UCLA squad with Lonzo Ball who can ball himself. It's going to be tough. This is going to be tough. University of Kentucky versus UCLA. This is going to be a tough ball game. And I really hate the fact that I have to make a pick on this one because I do love John Calipari and what he's doing with Kentucky with those one and done players that's coming in there. It's hard to get those guys to gel up. It's hard. But does he have it this year? to make it to the Elite Eight, defeating a UCLA? I have it. I have Kentucky defeating UCLA and moving forward to play North Carolina in the Elite Eight. We go to the Midwest. We have Kansas taking on Purdue and Oregon versus Michigan. Let's start with Kansas taking on Purdue. I had Purdue making their way up to playing Kansas. I did, because I seen Purdue play in their conference championship game, and I like a lot of things about Purdue. I love the fact that they can cause a lot of matchup problems right now in the tournament, and they made their way to the Sweet 16 based upon matchup problems. But you're 1-5 against top 25 teams. You're going up against a Kansas squad right now who pretty much, to me, have the superior athletes than Purdue. So I'm going to give it to Kansas overall to take over Purdue. And with this Oregon and Michigan matchup, Michigan is riding on a 7-game winning streak. You have Oregon, who puts up numbers but play great defense as well. And I'm going to choose Oregon to slow down Michigan and stop Michigan and end their run at the Sweet 16. Oregon going up, taking on Kansas in the Elite Eight. And I have Kansas losing to Oregon, Oregon advancing to the Final Four, taking on the University of Kentucky. No, I'm going to pick North Carolina. I see North Carolina making it. Gonzaga versus Arizona. I'm going to choose Gonzaga to make it to the Final Four, taking on Wisconsin, who is going to defeat Baylor. And I have Gonzaga winning against Wisconsin. And I have North Carolina winning against Oregon. And I have North Carolina winning the national championship this year. You know what? I'm going to go out on a limb and say I'm picking Gonzaga. Because it's uniform to pick North Carolina, because North Carolina is proven. But Gonzaga Bulldogs make it to the Final Four and make it to the national championship game with the potential to beat arguably one of the best teams in college basketball in North Carolina, who's had nothing but perennial all-stars that come from there. I'm picking Gonzaga to win. And the final score, Gonzaga 72 to North Carolina's 68. This is it. These are my picks. This is Jeremy Sports Network. Hey, you guys, make sure you fill out your brackets. And hey, post in the comments and leave who you have winning the national championship. This is Jeremy Sports Network, you guys. I am signing out. You make sure you have a fabulous night and tune in and subscribe. This is Jeremy Sports Network. I'm out.